We love our chats with Mohit Rajhans. He's back on the show today because all kids are back in school today, and there's new rules surrounding schools and cell phone use. So there are plenty of other tech resources available to them. So let's get to this, Mohit, because it's different from school to school to board about the cell phone stuff. And maybe let's take a step back first, because I don't know a world. When I was in school, phones weren't a thing. My kids aren't old enough to have a cell phone in their school. Yeah. I know you have teenage kids, so they might have experienced this a bit. Is this a pandemic-based thing? That's where it really kind of accelerated?
I think we saw more of a connected classroom happen as a result of the pandemic. You saw students of all different ages sort of gravitate towards using online learning and teachers using online learning tools. And so obviously this is less about the laptop and it's more about the cell phone, because that's the most accessible computer that kids have. But now we're in this place where across the boards, across Ontario, they're saying we have to ban cell phone use within classrooms because they're proving to be too distracting when it comes down to the education process. The problem with that is there's no blanket solution that's going to prepare our kids to be good digital citizens if they're not able to use all technology inside of schools.
Because they were in the classroom because they were using it for help with their studies.
Yeah,
right?
And also teachers didn't always have the right amount of time to be able to finish lessons and communicate with parents. Remember, Google Classroom is a way that some teachers communicate with parents right now. And so now we have to start to demystify this idea that all cell phones are bad, because some educators are going to still use cell phones in their classrooms in order to actually teach. We're not in a world where you leave school and all of a sudden you don't have digital connections. You actually have to learn, and we cannot leave our students behind when it comes down to this.
What are you seeing when it comes to boards and how they're policing this?
Well, that's going to be the other problem. If we're not training our teachers on how and what they should be using, you can't have an office full of $1,000 of phones being taken away from students. So again, let's take the fear away. All of the ecosystems that we talk about in teaching tools, we talk about Google, we talk about Microsoft, now we talk about even Amazon. They're all building tools for the classroom right now so that people can use them and be better educated, whether it's through Copilot tools of Microsoft or even Google Earth now. Back in the day when you do a geography class, break out the map, unfold the stuff, pull out the stuff. Now what you can do with the history of the world through Google tools is very important. The problem is the fear. Everybody thinking that because of social media and because of the posting and cyberbullying that the phones are the problem. I instead think we need to take a diligent approach to actually introducing these tools to classrooms and show that there is a connected world out there that we can benefit from.
We had a story yesterday, the Ottawa Catholic District School Board, they're not allowing students to use ChatGPT, but allowing ChatGPT being teacher-led into the classroom, and I think maybe educating them on it, how to use it properly?
Well, so this is interesting. We're now in a world where nothing is dominant. So Google is not dominant for search. ChatGPT is already taking away when it comes down to word processing. So what I think what we're going to see is that boards are going to start to come to the table and say, how do we use these as a tool rather than use these as something that's going to trick us, right? It's rules, tools, and fools, I always say and I also think that these things are being made every day. These new tools are being every day. There are parents that are using Duolingo that don't understand English as their first language. They're using Duolingo to help their kids with English. We're using these tools in our lives, so let's get away from the social media issue that we're having right now in schools, because that's the bigger issue, right? Is the idea that they're going into washrooms and they're posting about each other and they're cyberbullying, and that's the distracting part. Now, with some of the AI functions, your kids are going to be able to learn subjects in record amount of time. And that's an important thing to demystify, because if we fear it, we're not going to endorse it.
So how do we balance?
So the way we balance it, first of all, as parents, is not turn a blind eye to this. You're going to hear a lot of negative connotation associated with the phone, and that's important. But what you have to do is learn what your kids are learning and learn what they need to learn. The individual learning experience is what technology is going to actually lead to, and it's very important for us to follow it. Your kid is an individual learner. Use the technology tools to help them learn, because that's the only way we can get away from all of this hype associated with it.
Look at that, fabulous. Always love your chats. For more insight on technology in education, visit thinkstart.ca. Mohit Rajhans, look forward to our next chat.
Thank you.
Cheers.